All right, let's just jump right in. For the longest time, we've basically seen AI as a really, really smart tool. Something we feed a bunch of data to and it learns to do a job. But that's all starting to change and fast. We're getting the first real hints of a totally new kind of AI, one that doesn't just do the work, but actually takes part in the process of discovery itself. It's a huge shift from AI being just an instrument to AI becoming a true collaborator.
And honestly, this shift couldn't be happening at a better time. Why? Because the world of scientific research is drowning. In fields like AI and robotics alone, more than 10,000 new research papers get published every single year. Just think about that. That's almost 30 papers a day, every single day. It's not a stream of new info, it's an absolute tsunami.
So that brings us to the big, obvious problem, right? How on earth is any single researcher, or even a whole team of them, supposed to keep up with that? They can't. This flood of information has created a massive bottleneck, and it's actually slowing down the very innovation we're all so excited about.
And if that wasn't enough, there's this hidden flaw baked into the very AIs we're using. Our most powerful models, as brilliant as they seem, are basically time capsules. Their knowledge is completely frozen at the moment their training stops. So if you want them to learn anything new, you have to retrain the entire thing from scratch, which costs a fortune and takes forever. So we've got a double whammy. Way too much new information for humans to read, and AIs that can't learn it on the fly. So let's talk about the solutions. Our first big breakthrough tackles that information overload problem head-on. Just imagine an AI that doesn't just spit out answers, but instead asks the most important question of all. Okay, based on everything humanity already knows, what's the next big thing we should be working on? It's like a compass for the future of science. The system that does this is called Real Deep Research, or RDR for short, and its whole mission is to take that chaotic tsunami of papers we were just talking about and transform it into a clean, structured map of an entire field of science. It can spot the hot new trends, see which ideas are fading, and, this is the most important part, find the unexplored gaps where the next big discovery is waiting. So how in the world does it work? Well, RDR uses this really clever four-step process. First, it just vacuums up all the important papers. Then, and this is the secret sauce, it analyzes them using a set of perspectives that it gets from human experts. This forces it to think kind of like a seasoned researcher would. After that, it plots every single concept onto this giant map, where similar ideas cluster together. And finally, it looks at those clusters on the map to write up summaries and spot what's new and exciting. And the results? They're pretty stunning. They put it in a head-to-head battle, having human experts rate the research summaries from RDR against summaries from the big commercial AIs we all know. And RDR summaries were consistently ranked as way higher quality. It just goes to show that its structured, expert-guided method gives it an edge that raw computing power alone can't match. Now, our second breakthrough goes even deeper. It's not just about understanding existing research. It's about coming up with brand new ways to learn in the first place. This AI is asking a really profound question. Is there a fundamentally better way to learn? Period. The way it does this is there's something called meta-reinforcement learning. Okay, think of it like this. Instead of teaching an AI how to play one specific video game, you make it play thousands of different games. And you don't reward it for winning. You reward it for discovering a strategy for learning any new game faster. It's almost like a digital version of evolution, where the system discovers powerful learning rules all by itself, from scratch. And this is where it gets crazy. The learning algorithm that this AI invented, it wasn't just pretty good. It set a new state-of-the-art record, beating every single algorithm designed by a human on this really tough benchmark called Atari 57. Let that sink in for a second. An AI invented a way to learn that is better than any method a human has ever come up with. That is a massive deal. All right, on to our third and final breakthrough. This one brings us full circle. It directly attacks that frozen knowledge problem we talked about at the very beginning. This is an AI that can finally ask, how do I take new experiences and use them to permanently make myself smarter? This system is called SEAL, and it's a complete shift in thinking. On one side, you have the old way, these static, frozen models. But SEAL is dynamic. It's all about continuous learning. The way it works is, it reads new information, and then it actually generates its own study notes about that info, notes that are perfectly tailored for its own unique brain, and uses them to update itself. And a performance boost is just dramatic. When they tested its ability to absorb new facts, SEAL started out with about 33% accuracy on a Q&A task. But after it studied its own self-generated notes, its accuracy rocketed up to 47%. That's a more than 40% improvement in its ability to remember what it learned.
But do you want to hear the most mind-blowing part of this whole thing? The researchers also had SEAL learn from notes created by a much bigger, more powerful model like a GPT-4. And the result? SEAL learned better and more effectively from its own notes. This suggests that an AI can actually be its own best teacher. That's a game changer.
Okay, so let's take a step back. We've just looked at 3 incredible but separate breakthroughs. We have a research strategist, an algorithm inventor, and a lifelong learner. But what happens when you start to imagine putting them all together? Well, you get a blueprint for something that could completely reinvent science. You can start to picture a future scientific process that looks something like this. Step 1. A system like RDR scans all of human knowledge and pinpoints the most critical research question to ask next. Step 2. An algorithm inventor gets to work and designs a brand new, custom-built learning method specifically to solve that problem. And step 3, a lifelong learner, like SEAL, actually runs the experiment, constantly adapting and getting smarter as it collects new results. It's a fully closed loop of automated discovery.
Now, look, we have to be real here. We are not there yet. There are some massive hurdles to get over. The biggest one is called catastrophic forgetting. Basically, the problem where these models forget old information when they learn new stuff. And of course, there are the huge, thorny questions of safety and alignment. I mean, how do we make absolutely sure that a self-improving AI's goals will always stay aligned with ours?
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question in all of this. As these systems get better and better at doing the whole scientific process, strategizing, inventing, learning, what happens to the human scientist? Their role is going to have to change fundamentally. Maybe it shifts from doing the research to defining the big questions, setting the ethical guardrails, and trying to make sense of the wild, complex discoveries that these new AI collaborators will undoubtedly uncover. So, what do you think that future really looks like?